Can I just say before we start, I have like a new favorite sound clip that like I will use.
Yeah, okay, go ahead,
for
man.
every episode here. So, like I said, we're spotlighted for a little bit, as well as like a ton of other great podcasts. If you ever want to know what podcasts to listen to, if you go to Chapter Tactics, episode 170, they have about 30 to 35 different podcasts, YouTube channels, article sites.
Yep.
Just a great resource for like all different kinds of things, and they kind of specifically list out what the purpose of each one is for.
Right.
And it's a super good job all around. They did review our fellow Rogue Trader Network.
They did.
Allies,
they did. Yeah.
The Dangly Boys.
They did.
They did. You were going to say something there real quick?
No, I mean, well, I was going to say they reviewed all of the Rogue Trader Network. Podcasts.
All of them, yeah. High Lords of Terra obviously do phenomenal work there.
And the NZ40K Shabal.
The NZ40K Shabal, 40 Shabal.
Sorry.
All rousing reviews. It was this particular line from a certain bird statistician. That's a word. Statistician.
Yeah, that's a word.
Yeah, that's the word right
You
there.
nailed it.
That really kind of impressed me with their review of the Dangly Boys.
While they're talking about hobby, etc. It's an okay podcast. I enjoy Seth's commentary on a number of topics. So
Yeah.
I mean that's pretty good.
Man,
I mean
that's pretty,
that's
high praise.
High praise, yeah.
podcast.
While they're talking about hobby, etc. It's an okay podcast.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And
That's a pretty good summation of that podcast.
I also like that they didn't actually specify that he enjoys Seth's opinion on 40K. He just said things
like birds.
like as Falcon from 40K Stat Center is a bird, and Seth is a bird doctor.
Yep.
It's like a match made in heaven, right?
I know, yeah.
So he has to be there.
He's just trying to get some free healthcare, I think. Although he lives in Canada, so why?
So we want to start off today by breaking things up a little bit. Breaking up the formula, because when I was listening to that Chapter Tactics as well, they were like, these are, if your podcast starts with a what have we been up to segment, you're a hybrid podcast.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, that's fair, but let's kind of break it up a little bit, and we'll move on to that stuff later there.
Okay.
What I want to talk to you about is we kind of brain bashed a little midweek here.
Yes. And by that I mean we both got into rooms in our house and slammed our heads against the wall.
And then when
until
we woke
ideas fell out. Yeah, and then we woke up. We had some really rad.
It was
text message conversations,
Memento style, just like tattoos, everywhere of kind of.
You mean Finding Dory?
Yeah. Niles is Vin Diesel. I think that was my first one.
We did have a really great conversation about Frasier and the Fast and Furious as a
mashup there.
It sounds awesome.
With Niles is Vin Diesel and Frasier is Paul Walker. It made me happy. Oh, and the dad Martin, he was the Rock.
Yeah, that's right. Oh man, that was great.
Oh man.
While they're talking about hobby, etc. It's an okay podcast. I
mean, they could be talking about us too. But yeah, so we were talking about what an honest GT pack it would be.
Oh yeah, right.
Because Danny, we've been to like lots of GTs and RTTs and tournaments and all the big ones like your majors like LVO, SoCal, and even your GTs. They come with these little packs,
usually, yes,
which is like a little description of the missions, the rule set that's being used, as well as some kind of code of conduct and.
Sure, like where to find the bathroom, maybe.
Yeah, and then some kind of general behavior things. We kind of just came up with some super sarcastic, like honest GT pack information.
Some talking points that everybody should take into account.
That if you're going to a GT, these are things that you should expect and should be on every
already.
Everyone here. Here's one that hits home for me personally. If you're 0-4, so you've lost 4 games, you're in your final game of the tournament. Please do not call a judge over to verify measure distance. No one cares at this point. Right. Not even you. You don't even care if you win this. You're like, just drop it. Like, yeah, it's true. It's true.
Just let it go, guys.
Let it go.
And also, no one cares if you're cheating, if you're losing. So just keep that in mind. Same token.
Yeah. I think there was a Flying Monkey podcast about that. You came second at an RTT.
Which, hey, nice work, man.
Great job.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you, personally. No, you're probably not going to win the GT. No, it really wasn't just that one mistake you made that made you lose. It was probably like an amalgamation of forgetfulness.
Of like 2 mistakes. No, just kidding.
It's like the Doubleman Spearman move.
There you go. Let's see here. So if your opponent is more famous than you are, lose 10 points and most judge calls.
That's fair. Yeah. That does happen. Can you imagine if you're playing like, say, Nick Benanaventi, and you're at the table?
Benanavati?
Yeah. And you call the judge over to the table and he's like, oh, hey, man, how's it going? And you forget that it's just one giant circle jerk of socialization at that level.
It's true. It's true.
At this point, if you're making that judge call against this, 40K celebrity,
right?
You better have like, your
better be
evidence logged.
ironclad.
You better have like everything. You got to have your objections lined up.
It doesn't even matter if you have photographic evidence.
Oh, poor Tim.
Just kidding.
Poor Tim.
Kind of.
Hey, and on that line, for every $97 a month you pay your opponent currently, lose primary for 1 turn. As you're just kind of like in awe of like, man, this guy I pay for me to be good at 40K is whipping my ass at 40K. You think,
for sure.
You think the business move, like the sound business move for that was if you like are running a coaching service and you are playing one of your coachees, have him whip your ass and be like, oh man, how did you get so good?
God, I had no idea.
God, like I'm number 1 in the ITC right now.
Hold on. Please don't ruin my business model for my coaching service.
Danny's Feel Good Warhammer Club.
It's the Warhammer Joy Luck Club.
She's like, you want to charge me with that unit of Terminators? And you're like, nah, that's fine. You might overwatch me.
But they have Thunderhammers and Storm Shields. I don't know, man. Maybe they have a Vortex Grenade. It might be 5th edition again.
Oh, man. Salt City here.
Hell yeah, son. All right. So let's see here. If your opponent has a podcast, deduct 10 minutes from your total game time for them to tell you about it.
I got to say, when we were in LVO last year, I think we made a huge point of during the championship tournament of not actually mentioning our podcast at all.
Whoa, wait a minute.
I didn't. I never mentioned my podcast at all.
Did I mention it every single game? Man, you really screwed the pooch there, John.
I did. We did in the team tournament just because like all the shit we were giving away was like related to that.
I think Dave said he did it like half the time.
Yeah, but I just did not like at all. Like at least 2 rounds worth.
Right.
And then just at this point, everyone has a podcast. Everyone has a YouTube channel. You just got to add 10 minutes to that game clock. From that, remember to listen intently when your opponent tells you about their podcast because, yes, they do have one.
Almost certainly.
Almost certainly at this point. It's especially with our pandemic year where everyone's like sitting at home. Creating content is the way to go. I mean, man.
For real.
For real. Hey, lunch breaks will be between 1 and 2.
Oh, I like that.
If BCP is in use, round will start 3 hours after the lunch break ends. Which,
that's pretty good.
it's well deserved. I think that should be in the official LVO packet for next year.
Yeah,
Like,
okay.
Even if it's not true, like I think it would get a good laugh
For sure.
for being in there.
Yeah, just like
You gotta laugh at yourself.
have in the schedule like delay for PCP breakdown.
I just want to thank BCP for continually sponsoring.
Yes,
this
thank you
podcast
guys.
for
We really
several
do
years.
appreciate that.
Thank God no one listens. This one here. If your opponent is in the top 150 of the ITC, their interpretation of the rules is always correct and may never be questioned.
It's true.
It's true.
I've actually heard that before.
You have?
Yeah.
I was just being sarcastic.
In fact, I've used that before.
I think the important thing to remember is it's absolutely not true at all.
Yeah, sure. Whatever you say, John.
Yeah, it's really not. And finally, to round out, why don't you round us out here?
Oh, sure. Okay.
Yeah.
If you roll Vanguard Strike, just pick Dawn of War. We know that you're not going to bother with the math, which is fair.
That's fair.
Yeah, I'm not going to.
No, like the first, I think it's the only mission type that you would roll randomly, and you'd land on Vanguard, and it's the only one you'd be like, hey, want to just do this? And you're like, yeah.
True. It's 21 and a half and 14 and a half, by the way.
Other ones, well, not anymore. because they
cool.
did the correct
and they
math
actually
in the book.
have the measurements in the book now. Thank God for 9th edition. Isn't 9th edition
God
great?
for 9th.
Yeah.
But yeah, like
serious.
before, like if I rolled like Hammer and Anvil, and I'm like, oh dang it, I don't want to play this one. I'm like, oh well, I got to put up with it.
Right.
But if you rolled Vanguard, you were
Like
just
oftentimes I'll be like, hey, do you want to just do maybe, I don't know, like Dawn War? Then be like, okay.
yeah.
Almost always.
Super good. So that's some of our unspoken rules for GTs that we think should be
Pay
in
attention.
there. Pay attention. You know, what are some of your guys' unspoken rules? I'm expecting some real salt in the comments from this.
Yep.
Just as point to the bone. Remember, I'm terrible. I went 2-4 at LVO. So feel free to point that out.
I thought you went 3-3.
No, I lost Thank You Mistress in the last round because I got creeped out. That's my one mistake. I was like,
Yeah, that's fair. If your opponent says thank you, mistress,
just lose to get it over with.
Just get it over with.
Hey, speaking about running tournaments, remember to use our sponsor and tournament software, Best Coast Pairings.
Dude, I'm the best. I took first place at another tournament.
First off, stop with the thunder and lightning. You don't impress me. And second, let me check out the BCP rankings. And I don't see you on there.
What?
Your TO needs to download the Best Coast Pairings app and run events on it. After the event, the results are uploaded into BCP rankings, and the best part, it's easy and free.
But I play multiple game systems.
No big deal. The BCP app can be used for any game. A ton of events every weekend are using it, from major international tournaments to local stores. And now that it's available on Android devices, you're going to have some serious competition.
There can be only one.
BCP Rankings is a fun and exciting way to measure how you or your team stack up. No matter what you play, your score goes to an overall ranking, or compete to be the best in a game, a circuit, a region, or the world.
Download the app or visit www.bestcoastpairings.com for more info.
Best Coast Pairings.
Are you the best?